posture is more relevant when it comes to things like confidence and performing better. Whether that's sat at your desk behind a computer screen or whether that's standing on stage for 2 hours, it does represent your brand kind of better.
Yeah, I think when I talk about it from a branding space, I always talk about memorable leadership. So how do people remember you, whether it's in a team meeting, whether it's an event that you've been in? And body language is a huge credibility factor. So you've got your voice and how you would communicate that, but also the posture from where you come from. You could lose that instantly, and then your personal brand credibility goes out the window.
Yeah.
Hi Anisha, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the Kelly Lundberg Podcast and welcome to Dubai.
Thank you.
This isn't your first time, is it?
No, I've been here on and off for 3 to 4 years, treating patients mainly, but here for a different reason this time, which I'm really excited about.
Tell us what you're here for this time.
So I have finally written a book, been a dream. It's taken lovely there. There's... You look like magician assistants, like, here you go.
Here it is. Or I was thinking even QVC. If you would like to buy this book, you know where they can find 15 different ways to talk about how amazing this is, which you're going to tell me now.
Okay, no pressure. Rapidly trying to think of 15 amazing
You're all
things.
good, you're all good. So you're here to promote your new book, which is just
Yeah.
congratulations. As
Thank
someone who's
you.
published a book, it's not easy.
No, it's definitely not easy. It's like another job, really, isn't it?
Quite consuming.
It is all consuming, and yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I'm really excited that it's going to be accessible to all, because that's just what I've always wanted.
Yeah. So why don't we take a step back and tell me how you got into the industry that you're in now when it comes to, say, back pain. It's not just, I guess, one day you wake up and go, well, I'm going to write a book about this. There's a journey before that. So tell us a little bit about you, your brand, and what you're all about.
I started being interested, I guess, in like the human body and things like that when I was really, really young. And my sister's actually an osteopath as well. She's 7 years older than me. And for a long time, I decided that I didn't want to copy her. I was like, I can't do the same thing. Everyone's going to think I'm copying. And so I tried to avoid it, actually. And then I realized that I really like the concept of osteopathy. It's more all-encompassing, it's more holistic, it's looking at the whole lifestyle of a person, and that sort of really aligns with my kind of values. And now actually evidence shows that we as individuals have a lot of control over our pain and the pain that we experience. So consequently, it's just something I've always loved, I've always been interested in. It's great to be in clinic and see patients and see them get better. I did look at things like medicine, and I just kind of felt like it's really nice to build a rapport with my patients, and that's kind of why I went into it, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah. So that journey's been for, how long have you been doing that for now?
15 years.
Wow. And then when did the idea of the book come up? Did someone approach you, or did you think, you know what, I really want to put this all down on paper and help more people? Like how did that come about? Because I think lots of people think, I've got a book, but then they never do anything about it. It's
quite an interesting one. So in lockdown, I wrote a list of things that I wanted to do, like goals. And one of them was Get On This Morning, the TV show in the UK. Yeah. And another one was be an author. And this was on my whiteboard that I saw every single day. And during lockdown, I was on my own in my flat trying to save my business from bankruptcy. And it was something that just kind of spurred me on. And I guess I manifested it. I really, really wanted to write a book. I really, really wanted to be on This Morning. Essentially, fast forward, lots of hard work, consistency, and recognizing my brand and putting it out there and fine-tuning it led to This Morning discovering me on Instagram and inviting me on the show. So I now go on there quite regularly as their expert osteopath. From a book perspective, again, an agent found me on Instagram, sent me a message directly and just said, I think you have a lot to say about osteopathy and back pain, and it's definitely becoming more prevalent, especially with hybrid working. Have you thought about writing a book? So I actually had written a book in lockdown because I was trying to fill my time, that entrepreneur life of like, oh my God, I need to be doing something. Yeah. So I sent her this book and she basically very kindly said it was rubbish. And it was. So don't blame her.
It was not Heal Your Back.
It was definitely not that, everyone. And then we started again. She helped me. I'm an osteopath. I don't know how to write a book. It was so out of my depth. I didn't know where to start. I felt sort of like imposter syndrome. But it was really nice having that sort of, I guess, guidance and their belief. And they sort of helped me put my thoughts into paper because I seem to have some sort of mental block between thinking something and then typing it. There was a lot of editing, but it took 2.5 years.
Congratulations. It's understanding, I guess, when people think personal brand and growing your brand, is it's like it's done. But if you think, okay, we're talking 2020, we're talking 4 years where you clearly set those goals out. I want to write a book. I want to get visibility on the biggest morning show in the UK. And from there, I'd love to know maybe a little bit more as to what were those things that you showed up consistently doing. So Instagram was how both of your connections for a book and the TV show came about. So showing up consistently on that, I guess sharing value. What are the other things that you did to maybe help with that visibility and brand building?
I definitely tried to go to events. I think I realised that my USP was my personality. So if we think about osteopathy as a profession, it can be considered quite boring. I mean, bone health. But I try and bring personality to the profession. I recognise that that's my USP. So I needed to get in front of people in order for them to listen and realise that that's what made me different. So I would try and go to events or I do speeches and talks for free and just literally just getting out there as much as I could, really.
Yeah, and that's the key to keep showing up and making sure that people do see that visibly.
Yeah.
And what's the response been since these opportunities have happened? So now you're a regular on This Morning. What doors has that opened? Anything that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I am now working with quite a few well-known brands in terms of not only say representing the brand as a product that's credible. I do obviously get approached by lots of brands that are like, please say this is good for knee pain or please say this is good for posture. But to be honest, I reject 95% of those opportunities because if you can't provide evidence and the research behind it, if I'm not going to buy it myself or wear it myself, then I'm not going to recommend it. And so there's a few sort of big global companies that I work with who have done the research, have the resources, and are developing some really exciting things that I've helped with from an osteopathic perspective. Yeah. But then also I advocate their brands, whether that's ergonomic things, setups, tech, that sort of stuff.
I guess that's another way that you can think about as a revenue stream to your personal brand, because I think probably one of the hardest things is, years when I was a celebrity stylist, there was only so many people. I could style one person at a time within reason. And the same, you can help one person at a time. And how I think a lot of people would find it challenging to scale their personal brand when their skill set is so specific to one person. So having products and services is great. The book, I guess, is the next thing. What other avenues have you seen to be able to scale your personality, I guess, is what it is? And
I do think that corporate world is taking notice of things like back pain now. Yeah. Given that in the UAE, 60% of people experience back pain, and it's the most common reason. Lower back pain is the most common reason for absenteeism. It's really interesting. I think corporate companies are taking a lot more notice because they're realizing that their staff are taking time off work. They're tired, they're feeling less productive. And so I'm getting opportunities like going into companies, teaching the staff or their HR team how to support the staff better. Or I'm going in and doing a lunchtime talk or I even do webinars for global companies so that people can all join in. And yeah, just helping people take care of their own backs, really.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, back pain, people automatically assumed it's something you get when you're old. I don't know if that's traditionally been where people would then go and see the osteopath, and I have this idea of a older gentleman, you know, the picture with glasses on, that's the osteopath that's there, and you're older yourself, and that's what happens. But now this is not the case. So
yeah, definitely not. I would say that that's probably the biggest myth.
Yeah.
That people think you have to live with back pain as you get older. And that's just not the case. You can help your back and your body at any age, at any point, and still make a difference.
And is that then also from the back pain issue that often the back's in pain because of another part of the body?
It can be. I'd say if we think about it sort of anatomically, the back or lower back is like the midpoint of your entire body.
Yeah.
So it does take on a lot from your upper back and then say your legs and your pelvis. And I think particularly in women, hormones play a role, and inflammation as well with your pelvis. Yeah, it's kind of the key area, but yeah, it does lead to all kinds of stuff. I could go into the anatomy, but you might fall asleep.
So what are some of the things then that people should do to have a healthy back? Or to, I mean, I'm sure there's a million things you could do, but is there sort of certain things that you would share to say, if you do this, this and this, it's going to help?
Yeah, 100%. So the sort of high level tips are moving more, even just simple stretches that you can do whilst you're sat for a period of time can make a really big difference because our bodies were created to move. Then sleep. So this is quite an interesting one. So evidence shows that poor sleep actually is more likely to cause back pain than back pain to cause poor sleep.
And not how you sleep, just sleep in general.
Yeah. So there are certain positions that you can sleep in that might put a little bit of pressure on your back, but ultimately the most important thing is to just sleep.
Yeah.
And then nutrition. So we know that processed foods and things like that increase inflammation within your body, and therefore that's going to also increase pain perception. And stress is huge, and that can also impact the amount of cortisol within your body, inflammation. And yeah, there's been many studies that shows that your brain and pain perception is hugely impacted by emotional circumstances and things like that.
Do you see more men, more women? Is it 50-50?
You know, I would say it's probably about 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 50-50 because I feel like when I first graduated, it was probably more female dominant as sort of like, and then the females would be like, I'm just booking my husband in with you, and they'd just do it. But now I feel like it's becoming a lot more, I don't know, I feel like osteopathy or, you know, was considered quite a feminine thing to do.
Yeah.
Just like, say, yoga or Pilates. But I really like that narrative is now changing. And I'm definitely seeing more men, and there's lots of men doing Pilates and yoga and things like that, which is great.
My PT told me the other day that I was as flexible as his male clients. And I don't think that was a compliment.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I have been trying to work. This was my goal for my personal goal in summer, was to work on posture. I was really aware as a speaker that when I saw myself standing, speaking to audiences for maybe a 2 hour or even sometimes 4 hours if people had captured, I was really adopting quite interesting poses. I would stand quite heavily on one leg. I would put my heel, I would wear heels, I would have my heel up. And I thought, you know what? I really need to work on my posture to increase or to make how I come across as a personal brand when I'm speaking. And I'm not by any means there yet, but certainly just taking posture exercises daily in the gym when I warm up, I would say has made a massive difference. And a photographer sent me pictures of an event I did in September, and I was like, wow, I could see a difference in how I was presenting and projecting, which I don't think people think about when it comes to how you put that into your day-to-day life.
It's really nice to hear you talk about posture from that perspective, because that's what evidence shows, is that I think people believe that posture impacts back pain and things like musculoskeletal pain. They'll be like, sit up straight, you're going to get a hunchback, or you're going to, that's the narrative we were told back in the day. But actually, posture is more relevant when it comes to things like confidence and performing better. Whether that's sat at your desk behind a computer screen, or whether that's standing on stage for 2 hours. Essentially, like you said, it does represent your brand kind of better.
Yeah, I think when I talk about it from a branding space, I always talk about memorable leadership. So how do people remember you, whether it's in a team meeting, whether it's an event that you've been in? And body language is a huge credibility factor. So you've got your voice and how you would communicate that, but also the posture from where you come from. You could lose that instantly, and then your personal brand credibility goes out the window.
Yeah.
And I think it's a huge factor. So I really started to look at it myself. So any other tips? I've been doing the one where I don't know if I can describe this. I'll see if I can maybe put this in, or if you've got any videos we can share, where I was sitting up against a wall, practicing bringing my shoulders back and doing this. Does that make sense? Against the wall.
I'm so tempted to cut in, but I'm just really enjoying this description.
Is it really bad?
It's good. No, it's great. It's like wall angels, you mean? So you're standing with your head against
I love
the
that.
thing.
Wall angels, yes.
Yeah, kind of. Angels. And then, your arms are bent, and then you're just going slowly up and then slowly down, trying to keep your elbows against the wall. Yeah, that's a great one.
Wall angels. Oh, way nicer. I like that. What other tips could maybe help with that kind of thing?
Another one is you could interlace your fingers behind your back and then pull your shoulders back and down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's really good for strengthening the posterior muscles of your shoulder blades. Even things like, again, standing against a wall and sort of giving yourself a double chin, which is highly attractive, but, really good for posture and your neck. That's really easy to do. Yeah. And actually, quite often when people feel like they've got a tight neck and shoulder, it's strengthening that they need to do, more so than stretching. So actually, I give people quite often putting their hand on the side of their head and then gently pushing against their hand for about 10 seconds. And people can't believe that they find that relieving, because all they want to do is stretch it, but it's counterintuitive to do a strengthening exercise.
And I guess adding into the strengthening aspect would be going to the gym, lifting weights. And I think I've certainly seen, but that might be more through the journey that I'm on social media, women in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, going to the gym and lifting heavy. Yeah. And that can only be, I think people maybe of older generations might go, oh no, that's going to hurt your back. But in actual fact, the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my mum is 73 and she's lifting weights in the gym, and she started at 65.
Oh, I love that.
So it's definitely a thing. It's especially good for women because of hormones and obviously osteopenia, osteoporosis. It's really good to do sort of weight bearing or weight resistance exercises just to lay down more bone density.
I love that. So with regards to the book, the tips, tell me kind of what would people expect when they get a copy of your book?
So it's supposed to be a really simple way of having daily habits that you can implement within your day, because the reality is that we all lead super busy lives. Whether that's work, kids, family, and it's stuff you can do whilst brushing your teeth, whilst reading your kid a story. It's supposed to be accessible for all, essentially. Really easy to input, really easy to follow the plan. So you're just gradually taking baby steps and then doing more. Because I think, again, we're a sort of a society that wants to do everything all at once and have results immediately. I am one of those people. It's just got all the information that will help you make those tiny changes, whether that's from sleep to adding turmeric to your cooking because it's got anti-inflammatory properties. So it's all those sorts of little things that you wouldn't necessarily think would help, say, your back, but they really do.
I love that. So I'm also very curious, what made you choose Dubai as a destination to promote your book as well as, you know, building up your name in the UK?
So I've been coming out here for about 3 years and treating patients. So every 3 or 4 months, I will come out here, work within a clinic and see patients. And it's just a great place. Everyone's really open and health conscious and wanting to learn more. And I just felt like it was a great place to share my book further.
How did you then get that? Because I know there's people thinking, oh, how could we do it the other way around? Or how did you get the opportunity to come here? So did you reach out to clinics, or did someone reach out to you, or how did that happen?
It was actually one of my followers on Instagram who lives in Dubai who contacted me and said, have you thought about working in Dubai? And it hadn't really crossed my mind. I owned a clinic in the UK. And then she said, you know, maybe I could talk to my osteopath who's out here and see what she says. And then, cut a long story short, basically the clinic she worked in were really keen with my, again, Instagram following and consistency. They were like, wow, like there's not many sort of therapists that are doing this on social media, and we're desperate for people to, they really wanted their staff to be doing this stuff. So they just said, why would you be interested in being like a visiting osteopath? Because I think visiting doctors and things like that are quite normal here, and they do it all the time.
Absolutely.
I just did the exams and came out here, and that's how it happened.
I love it. So I've got 2 things off the back of that. I want to ask about Dubai. What's your favorite thing about Dubai, or one thing that you love about Dubai?
The one thing I love about it is that I describe it as it adds fuel to my fire.
Ooh, I like that.
And I speak very openly about that I think when I come here, being surrounded by people who are proud of their success is really inspiring to an entrepreneur who's striving and working really, really hard to get anywhere close to that. But it's nice to just see it because it feels like it's obtainable.
And it's contagious.
Yeah.
I think that's why I've never left after 22 years. I love it. And the other piece that I think has been really consistent in the personal brand piece, that I feel the book, this morning, the Dubai opportunity, is your Instagram. Now, it is something that I think people have a love-hate relationship with. It's something that I feel doctors in particular, I did do a conference actually recently where I spoke about personal branding, and there is a reluctance, I think, for many people, but doctors in particular going, hang on a minute, why do I need to be doing this as well as, surely my credibility and expertise is enough for people to come and find me? But it's not nowadays. What are some of the things that you've learned on this sort of social media journey, and how has that helped you?
I would say, I agree with everything you just said. Definitely at times a love-hate relationship because it is a full-time job and you do need to be super consistent. And people come to me all the time and they say, how did you do it? And essentially I'm like, I posted every single day on my grid for 6 years, and I did, and I kind of
sharing value.
So I sort of focused on the things that I guess we think about, which is inspiration, education, entertainment, that sort of stuff, and inspiring. So I would try and build my content around those things. I think people feel like they have to, especially in sort of, I guess, the health and medical world, they feel like they can't share their life or the person that they are. But the reality is that your brand is you, and I guess your brand is what uniquely makes you, and you've got to share those bits of yourself in order for people to sort of want to come and see you and buy into you. And I love that now when I get new clients, they know my personality, that I am crazy. I'm not totally crazy, but like I make things relatable and fun, and they'll remember it, and it makes them want to get better, and it makes them listen to me. But consistency is key, and it is hard. But I would say that different industries are different, but it's like the best thing I've ever done.
I love that. And do you do it yourself?
I do for 5 years, And now I have a videographer.
Yeah.
So we do 2 hours of videos a month. Where he'll come and I literally just change my top like as many times as possible to pretend that we've done multiple video shoots.
Batching content, making use of your time. Absolutely.
Yeah. So batch the content, and then I write all the captions and do all the physical posting.
Yeah.
That was another thing that's quite difficult in sort of the, I guess, medical world when you're trying to be on social media, is that you have to make sure that that content is correct medically.
Oh, because they will come and find you.
Yeah,
and
they're
troll
watching.
you and hunt you down. And,
Had that.
I'm sure even on the things that you do share that have got research and everyone's got an opinion on it.
Yeah,
and everyone's an
exactly.
expert.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think
especially those ones with no faces.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. I definitely had a clip on this morning go semi-viral. Where I got a lot of love and a lot of hate as well, because I said that posture wasn't as important as people think it is when it comes to back pain, and because obviously it goes against everything we've heard. It was quite interesting. Yeah.
But also we're entitled to opinions.
Yeah,
and backing
exactly.
that up, and it's like, this is why I think it is. You own that space, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're quite lucky we live in a world where we have semi-freedom of speech.
Yeah, like how you say semi-freedom. As we wrap up, I always love to kind of ask a few fun questions. And I thought I would start with, if I wasn't working as a osteopath, I would be a
DJ.
A DJ?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What, like in Ibiza or?
Oh, no. Like a classy bar.
Classy bar.
That shuts at 11 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
Because I would not survive past that.
Do a daytime one?
Yeah.
I'd maybe come to
maybe.
that.
Oh, maybe I just need to move to Dubai and do like
daytime lunch vibes.
Yeah, the beach pool thing. Like, yeah.
A time I felt on top of the world was
probably the first time I went on this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
such a big tick.
Yeah, it took 8 years to get there.
Congratulations.
Of manifesting it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. An outfit I feel great in.
I'm so not outfitty. Probably like a wide leg trouser.
Yeah.
Heels not too high, because obviously I'm an osteopath, a primary healthcare professional, and always
that would
thinking
go against
about
it.
that. Maybe like a nice blazer jacket, a bright colour.
I love it. But I can see today, you know, bright colours, part of your personal brand. You've said, you know, your personal brand is, there's personality to it. So when I think of my years as a stylist, for me, colour makes sense when it comes to your personal brand, because that's part of who you are.
Yeah.
I have loved getting to know. I know we could talk a lot more, but you have got a very busy schedule. Thank you so much for coming on the Kelly Lundberg podcast. Not quite this morning, but the next best thing in the UAE.
100%. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
It's
Anisha.
been lovely to talk to you.
You too.